Joining me now is CNN contributor Maria Cardona and Republican strategist Ron Bonjean. Maria, let's start with you. Public perception is the key here. What does this make people think of Herman Cain?
Well, I think it continues to underscore, Randy, two things. First one, that this is not somebody who is ready for prime time, not somebody who was ever prepared to go the full way. And secondly, it really brings up doubts if this is somebody that is looking to actually be president. Huge doubts about his credibility, about whether he's able to handle a crisis communications situation. And I think ultimately it's going to make voters think that this is not somebody that they can really see as their commander-in-chief.
Well, we have a new interview with Herman Cain. He spoke with our Robin Meade this morning over at HLN. Let me just play just a little bit of that.
I just started to remember more. Remember, in 12 years, a lot of stuff can go through your head. This wasn't exactly something that I had top of mind where I was trying to recall every little detail that went on 12 years ago. After 12 hours during the day, many events, many interviews, I was able to gradually recall more and more details about what happened 12 years ago. So that's what I would do differently. But, I wasn't given the opportunity to think about it for a day before I had to start answering questions.
Now, Ron, if you look at what Politico is reporting, they're the ones who broke this story. I mean, Politico says that they gave him about 10 days to respond before posting the story, but he's saying he only had about 24 hours to remember the details. Yeah. Does that hold?
Well, I know that's a great question. I mean, it's hard to say because I don't work for Politico or for the Herman Cain campaign. If it's true that he had 10 days to think about it, then obviously they should have put together a polished answer and vetted it and made sure that there were no holes in it, because clearly this has not been something that the Cain campaign wants. Republican primary voters like Herman Cain because he's always talked directly to them. He's talked about, he has a great business background. He doesn't sound like a politician. And I think we're seeing some products of that, some byproducts of that, some downsides of not being a politician, because, he's not used to a situation that he has to try to get out of like this. And, if I were him at this point, I would stop all media interviews and stop talking about this completely and try to let this move on, because the more he talks about it, the more he's getting himself in trouble. And I would just take the shovel away and stop all these interviews.
Maria, one thing that he is talking about and the campaign's talking about is this fundraising effort yesterday. They raised a huge amount of money, about $300,000. What does that say about what this has done for him?
Well, that's a very interesting point, Randy, because I do think that it underscores what Ron was just saying about how a lot of conservative Republicans do like him and do support him. And frankly, the line that he used at the very beginning when this first started about how this is all the fault of the liberal media, that works with the base. And that's what I think is working for him in terms of fundraising. The problem is that's not sustainable. And the problem with what Ron just said, which I agree, I would completely take him off the air, but what he needs to do is answer the questions. And frankly, he did not do that in the interview with Robin Meade. In fact, there were other questions that were raised, and it goes directly to his credibility. It is baffling, Randy, for somebody who was really supposedly prepared to run for president, that he and his advisors did not gather and say, what is out there about Herman Cain that can be brought up, whether it's the opposition, whether it's the media, whoever. What is it in his background that come back to haunt us? And you put a plan together, and that plan is not to then ignore the media and then recall things after you have denied them. It is to put everything out there yourself so you can define the message. That is something that he has not done.
Well, we'll see if he continues to try and define the message or if he just stops talking. Maria Cardona, Ron Bonjean, thank you both very much. That is fair game.